Okay, so welcome everyone to the 10-minute trade room for the ECB refi rate. That's me. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director. Originally from New York, today I live in Pennsylvania. Remember that all trades discussed are for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures. It's possible. So please trade carefully. So last night, I got stopped on Australia jobs, a small loss, 130. I cut my loss in half. I traded 3 contracts because the trade has had like 5 winners in a row. So, sometimes a trade is due for a loser. And then next month, I'll go right back in because it's been a good trade. You want to trade the good ones. Now, this morning, I want to be honest. This morning is just filled with risk. Okay. These are not the trades that if I was trading my family's money, I would necessarily trade these. Okay. Because they are risky. They're not, and they have inconsistency. So I want to be real honest about this morning's trades. But for us, I need to test a lot of our GMMs, especially in the new year, because we have to see what's working and what's not, especially because the markets are going to be changing. And that doesn't mean that you all have to trade every report that I trade. And in fact, you shouldn't. You really, if you want to make money, you stick with the reports that I say I would trade my family's money on. Those are the reports you want to trade. And it might be 5 a month sometimes. It may not always be a lot of trades. Although, right now I'm trading natural gas every week. We've started to trade oil more often now. I'm trying to do more reversals when it's appropriate. I have a reversal trade set up for this report. This report is the ECB refi rate. Okay. It has a breakout and it has a regular reversal. It's been probably a coin toss. Okay. We had a win last quarter. In 1029, I don't think it was as bad. Let's see if it was a loss in 1029. I think I canceled in 1029. The cancel, well, okay, it's a 45-second cancel. So 1029. Shows as a loss. It's a big bracket. It's a 10-tick bracket, and the goal there is to try and keep you safe because it's a bank rate statement. Bank rate statements can be whippy. All right. I mean, if they do a surprise rate cut, generally that would cause the index to move in one direction. That would probably help us. Although sometimes you get a shock to the market and it whips. But see, 1029, 30 seconds, there was no fill. You could see that part of the news was out, but some of the important news was late. I canceled in 43 seconds. 45 seconds looks to me like it would have been a cancel. Okay. It's real close. Does it get to 185? Whew. I think it's right on the border. No, I think it was a cancel, not a loss. Okay. I think for us, it was a cancel. I would have canceled. And then in September, it was a winner. So here's September. It's a 10 tick bracket. And again, you're waiting on those 45 seconds to see if there's a response. Chantal, I don't know if you're here yet. So let's watch this again. So it filled in plenty of time, right? There's your fill. It bursts up, hits the first target. Even though there's a chance it'll whip, I would probably protect profit in this trade. In this trade, I chased it down. So it's very difficult to now get the reversal. Okay. You know, if it goes all the way back up, I don't know if I would take the second move up. It adds risk if you don't take the first reversal. So you could have traded this two ways. The regular breakout, okay? Okay, Chantal, I wasn't sure. The regular breakout, and that was one trade, okay? And that worked. And if you traded the reversal, you would have reversed somewhere near the high of the day. I may not have recorded enough to see if that worked. Depending where you got in, you know, if you got in somewhere around there, you would have had a reversal that possibly you could have, maybe, it's hard to tell 100% because I didn't record long enough, but it's possible you could have had some ticks on a reversal also. If you look at last month really shows both trades working at the same time. Give me 1 second. So last month, it wasn't really quite last month, it was the most recent ECB. I think they're like the US 8 times a year, probably. Let me turn down my audio. My audio is so loud on YouTube. So 7:45. So this was last month. And I want to welcome our YouTube subscribers. You know, thanks for coming. Give us a like on our video and subscribe to the channel. So, and if you click the notification bell, you'll get notified when we're going to be here. But we would really appreciate it if you subscribe. So last month, you see that this is not a fast report to fill. It's not a fast fill. And it's a 45-second wait. You're supposed to wait 45 seconds. So, you know, you have an area where you might want to reverse it that month, the high of the day. But you have to concentrate on the breakout trade first, right? So it's 7:45, right? You got filled in 30 seconds, 33 seconds. You got filled. It shoots up, not super fast, right? It goes up. And now you're thinking reversal. You want to hit your reversal now. And that's what I did. And there was some pressure and you hit the first target, I would move my second target and there you go. Okay. So last month you actually had an opportunity to trade both trades. So the breakout setup on this report, now first off is I have a reversal set up, okay? I've set up a reversal trade. Why don't I show that to you first? So my reversal trade, the ECB is 6E we're trading, and it's $6.25 a tick. So I've got a reversal set up with two contracts, one target of 8 ticks, one target of 16 ticks, and a stop of 18. Okay. What you could do on a reversal is if you hit your first target, you could move your stop to break even. Okay. And then if it doesn't keep reversing or if it whips on you, then you just make a small profit. Target one stop move. If my reversal hits the first target, if I take a reversal, okay, my stop will move to break even. And I'm going to save this template, ECB refi reversal, okay, two contracts. Break even. 121.21. Okay. So remember, when you enable a reversal, you get your buttons. So you don't enter a reversal unless you think the time is right and you think the opportunity is correct and that your entry is good. It's a discretionary entry, and you still do have some automation available. Okay. Now look, don't forget what I said, that I'm testing our current DMMs on more and more reports because we want to make a definitive decision about, we've been doing this for many, many years, and we may go to a prime trade style of trading where we're going to really be much pickier about what we trade. So, I mean, that's why when I take a trade live, if I don't say this is my family's money and I would trade it, then the risk is higher. And you want to have a pretty big account or the ability to absorb a loss. You know, it's, my time is good. I went to the website time.is to sync. You want to be in sync because I'm going to try the breakout. I believe that the way to make money with our system is to trade the good reports. This report, it has to qualify as a 50-50, but it's one of those 50-50s that doesn't look bad. If you know what I mean, there are some reports that really look bad, you know, they look really horribly inconsistent and whippy, but this one doesn't look bad. Even the loss, it was not a terrible loss. It gave you time to get out, to quit, you know, to cancel. It's just not, you don't get trapped. Usually you have time to make a decision. Not always. Look, there's no guarantee that things are going to work. You know that, right? But this is one of the trades that it looks like, I mean, you could take it just as a reversal, okay? Today's chart, you know, it's not incredible because the levels aren't great, okay? It's probably not going to get all the way down to the PP like that. That's awfully far, okay? So, you know, R1 is sitting with the high of the day. The problem is it's very close. So I think that what's going to happen if it goes up to the north side, to the upside, it's going to break through that. But you might still have a reversal there if there's a decent sized candle, because that's a double pivot. If you understand what I mean, it's like a double pivot. It can sometimes act as a magnet to pull the price back in. Okay. The breakout is a pretty straight ahead breakout. It's a bracket of 10. That's a big bracket. That size bracket is a bracket that keeps you safe. Or the idea with a bracket that big is to try to keep you safe. A target of 10 and a second target of 25. That second target being so big makes it difficult to have time to do both trades, reversal and a breakout, because to reach a 25 tick target will most probably take time if it works today. Okay, if it works. So I'm doing one target for 10 ticks, one target for 25. My entry time is 7:45. And what I said this morning is all the trades are risky this morning. These are trades I probably would not trade my family's money. Okay, I mean, I wouldn't. And I'll explain why. I'm going to label this because I have two separate trades. Okay. This is the breakout. Okay. Make sure my time is right. 7:45, 7:45, 45-second cancel. Okay. A 45-second cancel. It's a 10 tick bracket. It's a pretty big bracket. Now, if I want to make sure my regular trade is enabled, I can turn off my reversal trade, turn on my regular trade. So make sure I have my icon. I'm trading both on one chart because it's the same instrument. And it's a bank report. So there's risk, because bank reports, usually they're better just as a reversal. The chart today, it's not great for reversal. It's because we're a little bit close to the best reversal point, which is this high of day and the R1, but it's a little bit close. Okay. It's only 5 ticks away, 25, 6 ticks away. Okay. That's not a big enough move generally for a good reversal. So I think it's going to go through that. Our bracket's going to be above that. Now there, I'm listening to the news in the background. So I'm just, if I get quiet, it's because I'm listening to the news in the background on a Squawk Box. Okay. The Financial Juice Squawk Box. So it's a 7:45 entry. And again, bank rate statements have risk, okay? Because they just have a tendency to whip occasionally or not to trigger sometimes. Generally, they're better just as a reversal. Sometimes they move early. So if this moves early, I'll cancel the top trade. That's the breakout. If I see an early move, I'll cancel the top trade, okay? And again, like I said, this is not my family's money trade. This is a riskier trade. It's a great learning experience for new people because it is possibly a breakout and a reversal. Um, you know, if you really think about it, you want to have a strategy with any system or any trade room that you're in. If you're in Carlos's oil trade room, um, you might want to take the trades between 8 and 8:30 in the morning. You might find that that's when Juan calls the best trades. And I don't even know if they're still doing it that way. I used to go in that room years ago. Um, or you might take all his trades. You might not take his ES trades, but generally you'll have, I guess what I'm saying is you just shouldn't trade random willy-nilly. You should have a plan. I feel like Joe Biden saying malarkey, like 100-year-old sentence, willy-nilly. No one even knows what that means. You want to trade, you want to have a system. You should trade, in my opinion, all the best behaving reports. You shouldn't really trade the coin tosses, the 50-50s. I have to put this at a coin toss, this trade. But its behavior, even in looking at a trade that didn't work, its behavior is not crazy dangerous, if you follow me, crazy risk. It just, it's like Australia jobs. Sometimes it doesn't work, but it hasn't been not working because of anything out of the ordinary. Sometimes a trade doesn't work through the normal course of the day. I mean, it's not like something unusual happens. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and you chalk it up and you go on to the next month you trade it again. Some trades, they're just inconsistent, but they have a better feel to them than an inconsistent trade that has a bad feel. I can't explain it any other way except by saying trades have feels to them, and we've had so many years of experience trading so many different types of trades. See, that was a cancel, and you had plenty of time to cancel it. And some trades have a feel to them. And of course, it could change, and you can get a radical, crazy move 1 month, and then you can get 6 months of a nice, manageable decision-making trade. Okay. The point I'm making is the behavior of this trade, in my opinion, lends itself for us to trade it, to test it. All right. We want to make sure what the value of all our DMM reports are. If a DMM report is a coin toss continually over and over and over and over, and we're in a new year, so there's motivation to do a little bit more trading in January, February to get a feel for what the markets are doing. And the political situation is completely different now. Everything has changed politically. That changes markets. Okay. So for us, we have a little bit more motivation to put our test money on the line. Understand that for us, our account, it's not just making money, it's about testing, finding the reports that are working. And sometimes you have to trade live to really know what a trade's behavior is. Sometimes because the slippage is totally different live than it is from sim. It just is. This generally triggers slowly. Okay, generally. Doesn't mean it's going to always do that. But we're sort of in the middle of a lot of levels, and we're getting further away from R1 in the high of the day, which makes that a better reversal if it goes up. Okay. Everyone's very quiet. I'm sure, like, if you're overseas, it's your afternoon for most people. If you're US, you're either, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, or you're 7 in the morning, 7:42 in the morning to me. I had to get up because I'm staying somewhere else and my office is in a different location from where I'm staying right now also anyway. So I have to travel differently. So I had to get up really early. I'm taking care of my daughter's house because she just had surgery and got to let the dogs out. Oof, oof. I can't get away from the music. I cannot get away from the music. Who did that song? Gotta let the dogs out. Oof, oof. I'm a really happy person, folks. I mean, that's the truth. I love what I do. If I get stopped out, I hate it. It's horrible. It's terrible, but I'm a happy person. And I hope that I present that to you, that enjoying your job, enjoying trading will help you to be a better trader also. Because you'll like putting the time in, you'll like practicing, you'll like testing. So it's a 45-second cancel. So what I'm watching for is an early huge move, like 20 ticks before the news comes out. That would make me cancel the trade. Okay. If it was more than a 20 tick move, I would probably cancel the trade. Not always, because we know that bank statements, they have volatility. That's what they do. It depends on the quality of the move. Generally, as a rule, we do like 20 to 22 ticks. This is fairly quiet this morning for a bank rate statement. No change, so the news is out. No change in the deposit rate. So it takes time to trigger. Hang on. Just not getting a very good move. So I tried to chase it down. I couldn't get it. So I'm canceling my breakout trade. There is no reversal. So I only made about $50 because we just didn't get much of a move. Remember, I was down 130. So I made $50. Okay, about 9 ticks, 8 ticks, 8 ticks. It just wasn't a good enough move. Okay. But look what I said about the reversal. I was fumbling around with my trade. Okay. I was messing around with the breakout. So the reversal's not big enough. Also, you could sort of feel that. Do you understand what I mean about feeling a trade? It takes a year probably, or it takes time to get a feel for a trade. I know a lot of you understand what I mean when I say you want to have a feel for a trade. You know, you could sort of tell that that was not going to burst. It just didn't have the quality of a burst. Now they're talking about their statement. You could get a move up, but it went down quite a bit also. And I would have protected our first target. It just barely even hit the first target. Okay. They're going to provide ample liquidity. You just didn't get, I would not take a reversal here now, no matter what. I just wouldn't, because it was not a big enough move. So I'm done with this trade. I made a small profit. Okay. I made a small profit, and it is what it is. Okay. It just wasn't very impactful this month. But I totally agree in taking the trade. The feel, this trade has a feel, even though it's inconsistent, it has a feel of safety. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? It doesn't feel like US retail, which really feels like a dangerous, risky trade. You just don't know what's going to happen. This trade doesn't feel that way. Okay. Now, look, it may wind up going up, and maybe I could have had more profit if I didn't move my stop, if I didn't move my target into the price. I felt that we had a report that just wasn't impactful, and I just grabbed a small profit, expecting not really to have much of a follow through. And that's essentially what happened. It's now just hanging around at the new high. It might go up because the market likes the statement, but it's 4 minutes after the trade now. My breakout is over. Breakouts generally don't last more than a couple of minutes. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? And not one person has made a sound. So is everybody okay out there? Did anybody trade it with me? Did anybody trade it with me? You can hear me, right? you can hear me. All right. Chris, you traded it. So I would think you made a couple of bucks. Everybody should have made a couple of bucks. Simmer live. Now, Greg is new to the software, so Sim is sensible. Paul is new. Sim is sensible. Chris is new. I don't know that much about Chris yet, okay? Because Chris is new. And Jaquan is trading live most of the time. And Jaquan likes risk. Am I right, Jaquan? Jaquan likes risk, or is not in fear of risk. He'll trade some trades live that even sometimes I don't trade. And he seems to be a good trader because Jaquan seems to be making money. Jaquan believes, Chris, that's awesome. And Chris, the way you gain confidence, obviously, I mean, I don't have to make these comments, but the reason we give you free time in the trade room if you buy the software is because we want you to practice in Sim and get confident. We want you to learn, of course, how to use the system. But the most important thing is we want you to feel that you can make money, that you can win. We want you to feel that you could do it. See how that reversal loves that high of the day? It's kind of hanging around and then it's breaking down. You still don't have a squeeze signal for the reversal, so it's late. The reversal would be best to look at the 30-second chart. There it is. See how that was your reversal signal? But it's a little late because there's not a lot of volatility. If there's not a lot of volatility, usually the reversal opportunity is much smaller. Okay. And then Jaquan has the belief that the market is female and she wants to give him money. So, I mean, that's the concept he uses. If that works for him, I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to question it. I mean, if the market is generous to Jaquan, fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay, let's talk about the next trade. All right, because we have, I said this morning, we are faced with challenges this morning. Let me explain why. And we'll understand why by looking at the DMM. So, Chantal, you're going to leave YouTube on, right? So, YouTube users, if you like the education, subscribe to our channel. We do this all the time: educate, trade live, trade sim, practice, trade for real, go over the reports, talk about reversing, all sorts of stuff. So YouTube, we would love for you to subscribe to our channel, like us, like the video, and also for your own knowledge, hit the notification bell so when we are going to be here, you'll know. All right. So now the next trade is normally a trade that we had been taking every week, the 830 jobless claims, since the world crisis began. Okay. We've been taking it every week. This week, there's a big issue. Okay. Let's look at the news to see what the issue is. The last time that we traded when there was an issue like we're facing today, we lost money. The issue is there might be too much news. Okay. That's the issue. There might be too much news. So I'll say right out front, this is not my family's money being traded. All right. GC gold. Now, don't ever change your chart. Do not ever change a chart without checking first. The smart thing to do after a trade is put yourself in sim. If you forget, make sure you do not have a trade enabled. If you change a chart with an enabled trade, it will trigger the trade. Very possibly. Don't change charts with trades enabled. Okay? Think about it. If a trade's enabled and you change a chart, the time might trigger. Okay? That's what happens. The time might trigger. Now, that's one of my jobs, to ask the programmer to see if he can change. The last time I asked him, he wasn't able to, but that was Ninja 7. So I have a whole bunch of things I have to talk to him about. But so that's a warning, all right? A warning of knowledge, a knowledge warning. It's just like you wouldn't leave on your confirm order placement before a news trade. Don't change your charts before you cancel your trades. Okay, so my trades, I have nothing up there. I wanted to put gold on. So here's the issue we're dealing with. We do have a press conference trade also. And that's a really strange trade. Okay, and that's all we've got today. And I'll check the news also and make sure we're not missing anything. all the oil and gas trades were changed. So here's it's like a mini market mover for unemployment claims, building permits and housing starts, Philly Fed. It's a lot of news. All right. It's a lot of news that, normally we trade building permits and housing starts by themselves. Okay. And they've been tricky lately. They've been tricky lately. The Thursday jobless claims had not been working on the ES. Okay. So we went over to gold last week, and it was a great trade. But remember, last week, Thursday jobless claims was trading by itself. Okay. It was trading by itself. Yes, it was a great trade, but we're not in a similar situation today. We have a lot of news. Philly Fed was a great report. Years ago, Philly Fed used to trade at 10 a.m. It used to trade by itself, and it was one of my favorite reports. I also happen to live in the Philly area. I don't know if Philly Fed's going to be positive or negative. I can't tell what's going on in Philly. I'm not. No one likes the mayor. Not crazy about the governor either. I don't think they've done a very good job with the world crisis we're in, with what's open and what's not open. I think they've been talk about inconsistent government. I believe that they're decent people and they've been trying, but I just think that Philly is a mess. It's a mess of a city. It's not a very wealthy city, and it's got a lot of challenges. So I'm thinking that Philly Fed, but things are opened up. People are working, going to work. I can see it. Rush hour is busier when you drive, outside the city. So, but the point is this: this is a trade that, if you're going to take it, very minimal risk. One contract at most, because you could get you really have four reports. You've got building permits and housing starts. That's two. They're not always together. They don't always trade the same way. But before we finish talking about that trade, I want to set up the press conference trade on my right chart. Okay. That's a trade that I've never been crazy about it, but it's been working. That's what's so wild. It's a weird trade. All it is a trade on the euro based on what the ECB, like our Fed chief, but the ECB, like our Fed chair, was Jerome Powell, right? Maybe soon to be Yellen. It's what they say at the news conference after the refi rate. So you have a refi rate or an FOMC statement, and then sometimes a half hour or an hour later, you have a news conference. So we have a trade based on a reaction. All it is a random reactionary trade. And that's why I never have liked it. To me, it was always a very random trade. It's like worse than a coin toss. But my boss is a smart guy, and he noticed that there was this consistent reaction. Target of 5, target of 11, 2 ticks, 2 positions, stop of 10. Okay. Now, the problem is this trade takes place at 8:34 and 59 seconds. And the other trade we're trading is at 8:30. So, you might not have time to take this trade. You might want to only do this trade today because there's too much news on the other trade. You might want to watch everything today because these are high risk trades. Trading a news conference is a high risk trade. There's no way around it. Okay. There's no way around it. Do I want to risk it? I don't know. I think I've only traded this trade maybe once, but look at how well it's done. It's the last 5 out of 6. Four out of 6. One was dull, small, tiny loss. One was canceled. Okay. So it might be the only trade you should take because it's been behaving. All right. So I'm going to label it press. I don't need more than that. Press conference 6E. That's what we trade on it. All right. And the entry time is 8:34 and 59 seconds because the press conference, in theory, starts at 8:35. Now, I believe I canceled this last month because I felt that there was too much volatility. Cancel this report at the smallest indication of volatility. Now, you understand, folks, that is totally a discretionary decision. Okay. There's nothing you can say about that. It's just a complete discretionary decision. Okay. So if you want to take it, you're welcome to take it, understanding it's a completely random trade based on the press conference. I've explained exactly what it is. So I've never felt comfortable taking it. That's just for me. I've always just felt it was a little bit too random for me. So I'm just setting up my recording. And so the real decision is, what do you do when there's too much news in our other trade, right? So our press conference trade will trigger at 8:34 and 59 seconds. All right. It's a 30-second cancel. And just final notes, it's a reliable small trade trend discovered to exist 5 minutes after the beginning of the ECB press conference that follows the rate announcement. Okay. And it doesn't have anything to do with what the refi rate is or isn't. It's just a reaction to the press conference. And the reason we wait 5 minutes is because there's a lot of chaos between 8:30 and 8:35. I can usually get a heads up on financial juice in this area here. They'll usually put a press conference video. In other words, the live press conference, you'll be able to actually listen to it if you want to. But we will be able to get an idea if it's going to be on time. And then again, if it's too volatile, I just will cancel it. It's just that simple. The other decision, the big decision here, the big decision is safety of trading all this news. Okay. That's the real big decision, how safe it is to trade. The most I would do is one target because there's just too many reports. Too many reports. Maybe look for, maybe take a 12 tick target, 12 tick target, 12 tick stop, make it so it's a 1-to-1 risk trade, right? 1-to-1, meaning you're risking what your target is. I would not trade my family money on this because it's too many reports. It's 4, it's not 3. Building permits and housing starts are 2. They are not married together in that their reactions are not always both negative, both positive. They can be mixed. When they're mixed, it's difficult. Okay. Jobless claims, we know, had, it reacted very nicely last week to gold. Thursday jobless claims, let me see. So last week was 116, 117-ish. 114. All right. It was our first week on gold. New setup. I love trading a new setup. And it was a nice trade on gold, but import, export doesn't usually have a big effect on the market, but continuing jobless claims were very negative, and bad news drives gold up. So it was a very nice trade. Okay. But we're looking at just way too much news, way too much news. So I want to be honest, folks, the real truth. Let's look at the gold chart. So here's what gold looks like. So gold actually looks pretty good if you want to just maybe consider a reversal on this trade, right? Why do I say that? First of all, don't forget the gold open is at 820. You're going to have some gold volatility at 820. But look at the chart. You have a nice reversal chart. You've got high of the day, right? It's a little tricky because you've also got PP, which I like a lot. And it's too far away to take a short and put your stop under the PP. It's too much risk. It's over $400, or it's about 380. It's a little bit much for most people. It's probably far enough from the low of the day. But here's the problem, folks. Look, let's really be brutally honest about this. Brutal honesty is because there's too many reports, you just don't know how the market's going to react. You can't count on a consistent reaction because we haven't had enough reports that trade with all 4 of these reports together, or all 3 of them, on a regular basis to make a decision, because that's the way we trade. Okay. So yes, if it pops up even to the 6 p.m. open, which is 1871, could theoretically, you could see why this is extremely tricky for reversals today. It's definitely a tricky chart for reversals. It could reverse here, it could reverse here, it could reverse here, it could reverse here. And you don't have just one news report item to use to help you and make your decision. So, when you're looking at that level of risk, what's probably the right thing to do is to take a pass, right? You can set up the reversal. It's not a big deal to set up the reversal. You don't have to take it, right? So there's nothing wrong with being ready for a gold reversal. Say you use one contract, right? You can make your target, 18 ticks. You can make your stop 18 ticks. And again, remember the reversal trade, you don't have to worry about time. As long as you choose reversal trade, right? Label it. We want to label it. And we have to be careful today because there's a lot of news. A lot of news. So there's our reversal trade on gold. My feeling is that the risk is too high to take a breakout trade today. It's too many reports. Too many reports. Of course, it could work perfectly. And I could look a fool. But with my money, why should I trade it with the company's money? The only reason there's a temptation to trade it is because how nicely, I mean, I think gold is trading better than it has been, for one. Gold's looking better. And number two, Philly Fed, let's take a look. My memory is that Philly Fed is late a lot of the time. The problem with Philly Fed is it rarely trades by itself. It's rarely been trading by itself. A lot of times it trades with Thursday claims. That is one thing that is in our favor. So like this was September. It traded with Thursday claims. Let's see, when did Philly Fed, this is almost the same setup. Okay, it is the same setup. So you have mixed news, but we were trading the ES then. The gold is here. Gold is here. And you could see like the initial reaction is not very impactful. It's also mixed news, negative on housing starts, negative on building permits, jobless claims. It's actually not so very mixed as it is negative, but it's not a gigantic, it's only 10,000 jobless claims. And gold, if news is negative, right, then gold really didn't move the right direction. So the same setup is today, and the result is total inconsistency from gold. Now, but gold is trading a little better, but point in fact, level of risk is higher than normal due to, and then see how gold is, it's just not following through. 2 minutes after the trade, and you would be, you know, not overjoyed if you were short gold. So, you know, you're looking at an inconsistent reaction. And that's what happens with a lot of news. Let's look at August because we had a similar setup, Philly Fed and jobless claims. You didn't have the housing starts and building permits. And that is a pretty reasonable effect. And we were trading the ES back then. Remember, we just started looking at gold on this report. I've always looked at gold, right? Almost always on the Thursday jobless claims because we were trading it a year ago. When everything started, we started with gold on Thursday claims. And it looks like the news is out, but investing.com just didn't get it. The news was bad. The ES went down. Gold moved up. So gold had a decent move. Gold had a very nice move, but only 2 reports. Look how late Philly Fed was. That was the thing that we were looking at also. So really, that was trading on a negative, a negative, very negative jobless claim. And that's why gold was driven up. Very bad news, gold goes up. So But that doesn't change our issue for today. And our issue today is we don't have much to look at to give us an idea of what to expect. If you're totally in the dark about something, what do? Usually you don't do it, right? Like if you're totally in the dark, if you're getting in a car you never saw before and you never drove a stick shift, you're going to drive that stick shift or you're going to be taught how to drive the stick shift. So we need to teach ourselves what's the reaction when you have all these reports together. If there's no way to find that out because they usually don't trade together enough and maybe they never will, then you just take that report off and you just chalk it up to, okay, that's the way the reports fell this month. You're not going to, as we always say, we're not going to go cry in a corner about it. We're going to say, hey, we're just managing our risk by being as smart as we can. That's all we're doing, ever. So here was building permits, Thursday claims. One more situation, very similar to today, okay? You had two of them. And fortunately, I'm looking at gold again. So building permits, housing starts comes out properly. Jobless claims comes out pretty close to it also. Look at Philly Fed. Philly Fed's a late report, right? Philly Fed's a late report. Meaning that we've looked at two random reports and Philly Fed was late both times. And gold had a move. Philly Fed was real late. Okay, it's 40 seconds. Now it comes out. And, it's negative. And building permits and housing starts was positive. And the market didn't respond to that. It was responding to jobless claims. Okay. Philly Fed then was negative, and the market seemed to go in that direction. It went up, gold. Because Philly Fed does have some impact. Okay. Philly Fed does have some impact. So the setup, so really the question is, I certainly wouldn't risk $240 by trading multiple contracts on this trade because there's too much news. Would you risk one contract? So think about it. What's the purpose? What would the point be? Well, they trade together a little more often than I thought. Number one, by looking through the videos, right? They trade together a little bit more often than I thought. I think a target of 9. I mean, do you do 12 out of 12, somewhere in between 8 and 15? It's a lot of news. I think that's okay. I think it's okay to trade one contract if you're going to trade. Risk 12 ticks to make 12 ticks. Entry time is 8:29. $829.59. It's a breakout trade. And folks, I think that the right thing to do, because of the amount of news. So think of it this way. Philly Fed, probably going to be late. So really, what are we looking at? Building permits and housing starts and the jobless claims. if they agree, we could wind up having a good trade and make our profit, right? Thursday, building, Philly. Okay. So is it worth, would anybody trade this live? See what I mean about financial juice? It gives me an opportunity to watch the press conference. I just want to know if it starts on time, and they'll kind of tell me that in financial juice. Would anybody trade this? Somebody speak up, please. Somebody act. Somebody's got to be alive out there. Would you trade it? Knowing everything that I just talked about for the past 20 minutes. There's definite risk. There's a possibility. It's a 10-second cancel. Okay. Jaquan says no. Fred says no. Liz says no. Greg says only on sim. So, but I'm trading for slightly different reasons than you all. You all are looking to put money in your pocket only, right? Ultimately. And I'm looking to put money in the company's pocket. But most important, I'm looking, what are our best reports to trade? And that's what I'm looking for. Almost more than putting money in my pocket. I want to be able to give a webinar, tell Liz, who never met us before, hypothetically, go to time.is and check your time sync, please. Good point, Jaquan. We don't, there's so many unknowns this week. So many unknowns. Yet, how many times have we seen a trade just work properly, even though there was a lot of news? We've seen it happen. So I could wind up being, right now I'm down $80. I made $50 this morning from 50 back from my Australia jobs report last night. This trade, if it goes bad, it'll put me down 200. I mean, that's about what I was down all day yesterday. No, I was down less when the day was over. We made some back on API. I did not trade well yesterday. That's the honest truth. I should have made more money on API, and I didn't make the right decision on the bond report. I should have used the bracket of 2. That's what the report said. But there was a little bit of confusion on that. And I have to discuss that with my boss because that's not your issue. But so we also have a possible reversal. Ultimately, I think that I would probably only take the breakout on this trade unless maybe all the news was agreeable. Okay, now I'll have a couple of minutes to make my 6E chart bigger for the press conference trade. So let me check my time, make sure that my time is set properly. I don't want to trigger any trades by accident. So it's a bracket of 6, activation of 829.59. So my setup looks normal. Okay, my setup looks fine. Trading just one position, looking for 12 tick profit, looking for a 12 tick stop, And then we have the press conference trade also, if we want to take that. So I can trigger my trade, right? So it's all going to depend. It's only a 10-second cancel. So I'm going to have my finger on the button to cancel and then maybe look at a reversal, right? If I want to. I think a reversal is highly risky also because of the issue of the amount of news. Philly Fed could come late, could screw up any trade you're in. And that's why this whole trade, you want to cancel in 10 seconds and you want to take your profit fast because you don't want to be stuck in the trade with Philly Fed coming out late if it does, right? So 10-second cancel. And if gold, the gold open was not that volatile. It went up a bit, but it was not crazy insane. It was not crazy volatile. So I've got a reversal trade, not going to be a factor. A press conference trade, not going to be a factor unless we take it. I'll have an opportunity to decide. We have a reversal that is a manual entry. Crosshair gets turned off to make it easier. Okay. And then we have a possible breakout on jobless claims. And our big number is they're expecting 910. If we get a big offset and housing starts and building permits are the same direction, then we could get a nice trade. Yes, definitely. Jaquan, you could get ambushed too. It might not be the smartest trade to take. And it's why I said I would not take it with family money. That means that you all, unless you really want a big risk trade, it shouldn't be taken. We're taking it. We want to test and see. There's been a couple, not a bunch, but there's been at least 2 exact same setups like this. One of them was inconsistent. And it's an unknown. Look, every trade is an unknown. We're learning. So the press conference is starting. It's a 10-second cancel. No response at all to building permits. It's a 10-second cancel, folks. I'm doing what my boss said to do. Now, ironically, it's going to work. It should work. All the news is positive. I canceled at 10 seconds. It'll be proven on the video. I would like to punch myself because the news worked. Why did it work? We were lucky enough. You would have been lucky enough to have everything work in the same direction, but it wasn't gigantic positive news. 900 versus 910,000, okay? We can analyze this in a second. Let's look at the press conference trade, all right? I think everybody understands what happened here. All right. I'm going to put this chart and take off my reversal trade. I'm not taking a reversal. I canceled at 10 seconds because that's our rule. If I would have waited 11 seconds, I would have gotten filled. You know, you could yell at me and say, hey, maybe I should have waited. Now I'm going to watch. Are we going to have too much volatility to take this trade? I want to be honest, folks. I probably won't take the press conference trade. It's a trade I don't like. But I suppose I should just follow the rule and let it, let's see if it's got too much volatility or not. And then we'll go back. Don't rush out of the room. Let's at least learn from all three of these trades. I'll happily go over all of them if you want to. If you all want to spend a few minutes, I'll spend a few minutes going over everything that took place in this trade room this morning. The press conference trade is a 30-second cancel, okay? It's a 30-second cancel. The press conference started on time. Lagarde is speaking. She's not saying positive things, okay? I can tell you that right now. She's not saying positive things. I'm watching the euro. I'd rather just trade with my chart on the left. I like charts on the left better for trading. Doesn't change anything. So it's a 30-second cancel, the press conference. That was a tight bracket, Chris, and you can, with gold especially, get very different fills. Very different. Now, we're starting to see some volatility. Uncertainty remains high, is what Lagarde is saying. So what I'm seeing is an uncertain euro. What I'm seeing is an uncertain euro. I'm not going to trade this trade, I don't think. I may cancel at the last second because well, I'm in. I'm taking it. It's a 30-second cancel, and it's so uncertain, folks. I don't like this trade. Why am I canceling? So it would have gone up, right? We'll look and see. I did not want to be filled long in my heart of hearts. Let's see where we would have been filled long, okay? And the first target was not that big. Ironically, it looked like a short trade was the right direction, and that's what was making me very uncomfortable. I think, in all honesty, I just should take this trade. I mean, that's the honest truth. This trade, the press conference trade worked. The press conference trade worked. So And ironically, you have a little bit of a I don't know if you have a, it's really risky to take a reversal on a press conference, right? That's extremely risky. It worked. All right. It worked. And we'll look at the video. Let's spend 5 minutes. So the outcome of all three of those trades is plus $50. Okay. We made $50 was the outcome of all three of those trades. Let's look at all the rules. Let's look at what made sense. And I'm going to put my charts on sim. Let's spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes analyzing the three trades. Okay. Fair enough. We were here for three trades. So we had building permits, Philly Fed, and Thursday claims, and press conference. Okay. All in one video. Putting all my charts on. You had a beautiful reversal there, which is interesting because we've never thought about that. But so let's at least make this a learning experience. I made 5 ticks, roughly $50 profit. Nothing to write home about. First trade, got up early, got here for the ECB refi rate. Okay. ECB refi rate is a 10-tick bracket, an 8:45, a 7:45 entry, 45-second cancel, targets of 10 and 25 with a stop of 15. What happened on the ECB refi rate was you got a report that really did not have a lot of impact. So we got to 7:45. Okay, 7:45, 10-tick bracket, pretty quiet. The market was quite quiet before the trade, which made me think maybe we wouldn't get much of a reaction, which is what happened. We did not get much of a reaction. Okay. So you don't cancel this trade for 45 seconds. It got filled at 37. So it was an honest fill. I saw it start to move up. And my feeling was we knew there was no change. And now the market's just going to start reacting to the event. Okay. And to the reading of the reports, the notes. I saw that it was having a problem getting up to that small target. So I pulled the target in, moved the stop up to protect the stop, moved it 1 tick above break even, and moved my second target down, trying to just grab a little bit extra profit because it looked like it was reversing. And I grabbed a total of $50 on that trade. And it just was not very impactful. So that's life. That's fine. To me, that was traded fine. No problem. I'm okay with that trade. Trade number 2, building permits, housing starts. And you really have to look at the news. Well, no, let's watch the video. The video will show us the news. So building permits, housing starts. It's an 8:30 trade. We talked about possible reversals. Okay. I had set up the press conference trade on the right. And we really had said that we felt that this was risky. because of all the news. And the previous reports were not a bastion of consistency. One was inconsistent, one looked not bad. 10-second cancel, okay? 10-second cancel from 8:29:59. That's really the cancel, right? But I say 8:30 when the news is supposed to come out. We use the 8:30 when the news is supposed to come out as our cancel. That's what we've always done over the years. So 8:30 rolls around, and I said I was going to cancel at 8:30. I mean, at 10 seconds. I was going to be honest about the cancel. So let's watch the video and see, did I chicken out? No. 11 seconds. Okay. It was a proper canceled trade. No matter how you look at it, that's our rule. I did what I was supposed to do. So our first two trades, but let's watch it. What happened though? Watch how the news came out. It came out quite erratically. It was not all together, right? But that's to be expected with a lot of reports. So just watch now the way the news came out, because that's a part of deciding how to deal the next time this happens. So the building permits, housing starts came out and they were positive. Gold normally would go down on that, but that's not what the market's looking at, obviously, because it didn't move gold at all. A little bit up, not much. Then the jobless numbers came out late. Look how late they came out, that they got there. Okay. They got there pretty darn late. By about, was it 15 seconds? Was it that much? Building permits came out. And then the Thursday claims came out 5 seconds late. Not horrifying. Not horrifying. No, they're not out. Sorry, they're not out. 12, 13 seconds late. So we were already canceled. And that's a discussion I've had with my boss over and over. Maybe you should wait. You got to wait. Don't you got to wait for the news to come out? He says no. He says you cancel because it puts you in an unsafe position. I wonder. I argue that with him. I argue with him. That trade officially was a cancel that worked. Okay. So you can't torture yourself over that, because we did what we were supposed to do from an official viewpoint. Now, sometimes we break the rules. Look at Philly Fed. It's still not out. Philly Fed is still not out. Philly Fed didn't come out. It was very late. My boss is his name is Jay Offner, and he invented the system. Greg invented the original software, and he sends the DMMs out. He sends them to me and I send them out. He does the analysis, the bulk. It's really, since I got here, we now share a lot of analysis, but he's the main. He has the final say as to what a DMM is going to be. Okay. So, but we're a team. We try to be a team as much as possible. Sometimes we butt heads because I'm in the room. So that was an official cancel. There was no arguing. It was an official cancel, but it would have worked. So of course it's frustrating. And then the news conference trade, because basically I wimped out. I mean, let's be honest. I wimped it. The trade scares me. I want to be honest. I don't have any basis as to why it should work or not work. It's just so totally random. I'm always uncomfortable with this trade. And I let my uncomfortableness canceled me. I was truly thinking I didn't want to get filled on the long side. I gave it 18 seconds. Let's look and see where would we have gotten filled. When would we have gotten filled? It's a 45-second cancel. 1705 is our entry, okay? 1705 is the entry. So it got filled in 20 seconds. And then it went down a couple of ticks. You would have survived that easily. And it went straight up and it would have hit your targets. So it would have made about $100. All right. 60, about $110. Honest, that's what our targets were geared to make today. 11 times 6 and 5 times 6. 60 and 30, $100, which is nice. Okay, it worked very nice. So we made 50, could have made 150. That's the analysis of the 3 trades. Gold opening range trade. Now I'll answer any questions. Anybody want to ask me any questions? I'm happy to answer. I'm totally honest, folks. I should have traded the press conference trade, and I didn't. And I explained why, and it's fine. That was a winner. The gold opening range trade, Jaquan, we've tried a little bit to find a setup for that. I think it's one of those trades that is going to be inherently inconsistent. But if you have a setup that allows you to do incredibly great money management with it, so that your winners overcome your losers, because it will be inconsistent, I believe, it could be okay. So it might be worth spending some time to test it and try to come up with a setting. We worked on it for a while. The problem for us, Liz, I'll answer you in 1 second. The problem for us is it's at 820. It interferes with almost every trade, every important trade we have. It's a bad time, but we've shown we can trade more than one trade at a time, but a lot of times we trade gold too. So, but Jaquan, I think it's worth exploring. That's what I think. I would like for us to do some testing of it. So let me just say goodbye to the YouTube folks. YouTube folks, Chantal, I don't know if you ended the streaming, but YouTube folks, if you like the education, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you know when we're going to be here. We do a lot of trading. We do a lot of educating, and thank you very much for coming. 10minutetrades.com if you'd like more information about what we do. Okay, so Liz asked, what time frame is the opening range on gold? Now, Liz, so that's obviously debatable. I normally would look at a